Somewhere, maybe unbelievably far away, there might be another you who just blinked at the exact same time you did. Same face, same memories, same weird little habits. Maybe even watching a video with this exact same opening line. And the strangest part isn't that physics definitely says this is true. It doesn't. The strangest part is that some serious ideas about the universe make it hard to rule out. So if you've ever wondered whether infinite versions of you exist, you're not being silly. You're bumping into one of the deepest questions in science. What happens when a universe is so huge that chance gets endless room to repeat itself? By the end, we'll separate the real science from the internet nonsense, meet a few possible versions of you, and ask the unsettling question hiding underneath all of this. If another you exists, is that actually you? Let's start with the most important word in the whole question: infinite. Because infinity is not just a big number. It's not a stadium full of grains of sand, or every star you can imagine, or a trillion galaxies. Infinity means no final edge, no last place, no point where reality says, okay, that's enough. And that changes everything. Imagine you're shuffling a deck of cards. There are many possible orders, but not infinite possible orders. Eventually, if you had enough decks and enough shuffles, some arrangement would repeat. Not because magic is happening, just because there are only so many ways the cards can be arranged. Now, replace cards with matter. Replace the table with space. Replace one deck with the entire observable universe. If space goes on forever, and if matter can only be arranged in a limited number of ways within a given region, then eventually, absurdly far away, the same arrangement should show up again. That includes galaxies, planets, continents, rooms, you. Not because the universe is trying to copy you, because in an infinite universe, rare things don't stay rare. They happen again, and again, and again. But hold on, that's the cartoon version. The real question is trickier. Is the universe actually infinite? Here's what we know. We can only see a bubble of the universe around us. That's called the observable universe. It doesn't mean the universe ends there. It just means light from beyond that distance hasn't had enough time to reach us since the Big Bang. Think of being in the middle of a foggy field at night with a flashlight. The edge of what you can see is not the edge of the field. It's the edge of your information. Our observable universe is enormous, about 93 billion light-years across. That's already ridiculous. But it might be only a tiny patch of something much larger. Measurements suggest the universe is very close to flat on huge scales. In everyday language, that means parallel paths in space don't seem to curve back together the way they would on a sphere. A flat universe could go on forever. Could. Not must. It might be infinite. It might be so large that it only looks flat from inside our small patch. Like how Earth feels flat when you're standing in a parking lot. So the first honest answer is, infinite versions of you are possible under some models, but we don't know if the universe is infinite. And that's already weird. But now it gets sharper. Even if space is infinite, does that guarantee another you? Only if the possible arrangements of matter in a region are limited. That sounds strange because your life feels wildly specific. The breakfast you chose, the sentence you're hearing now, the exact position of every atom in your body. Surely there are endless ways for all that to be different. But physics puts limits on how much information can fit into a space. A room can't contain infinite detail. A brain can't hold infinite memories. An atom can't be in absolutely any state you want without limit. So if you take a region the size of our observable universe, there may be a huge but finite number of possible versions of that region. Huge, beyond imagination, yes. But finite. Now place those finite possibilities across infinite space. It's like having an endless printer that can only print from a giant but limited library of pages. If it prints forever, eventually page 8 repeats. Then it repeats again. And if one of those pages is a universe patch containing Earth, your city, your room, and your brain in this exact moment, then that page repeats too. This is where people sometimes say there are infinite copies of you. But we need to be careful. That conclusion rests on a stack of assumptions. Space is infinite. The laws of physics are the same everywhere. Matter is spread out in roughly similar ways. and there are only finite possible states in each cosmic patch. If those assumptions hold, another you is not just possible, it's expected. But expected does not mean nearby. The nearest copy would be so far away that the distance makes ordinary giant numbers look microscopic. Not just beyond any rocket, beyond any possible communication, beyond any hope of seeing it. So if there's another you out there, you can't text them, you can't trade notes, you can't warn them about anything. From your point of view, they're completely unreachable. Which raises a sneaky question. If a copy can never affect you, does it matter? Emotionally, maybe yes. Scientifically, maybe only as a clue about what kind of universe we live in. But before we settle there, there's another path to copies of you. And this one doesn't require another Earth far across space. It comes from quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics is the science of tiny things like particles and atoms. And it has a deeply annoying feature. Before you measure a tiny system, it can act like several possibilities are stacked together. A particle might behave as if it could go left and right, not because we simply don't know which path it took, but because nature seems to allow possibilities to overlap until an interaction locks in an outcome. One interpretation of this is called many worlds. The basic idea is this. When a quantum event has multiple possible outcomes, reality doesn't choose one and delete the rest. Instead, all outcomes happen, but in separate branches of the universe. So if a quantum event affects your life, there could be a branch where one result happened and another branch where the other result happened. This is where pop culture runs wild. It imagines a universe where every decision creates a new timeline. One where you ordered tacos, one where you ordered noodles, one where you became an astronaut, one where you forgot your pants at a wedding. The real idea is more subtle. Many Worlds doesn't say your personal choices magically split reality like a choose-your-own-adventure book. It says the quantum wave function, basically the mathematical description of physical possibilities, keeps evolving, and branches stop interacting with each other. In plain language, reality may contain many non-communicating versions of events. If that's true, then yes, there may be versions of you in other branches, some nearly identical, some wildly different. But again, we can't visit them. We can't send a message. The branches become isolated. And many worlds is not proven. It's one way to interpret quantum mechanics. It matches the math in some ways, but so do other interpretations. The trouble is that interpretations often make the same predictions in experiments, so it's hard to pick a winner. This is a pattern in the whole infinite you question. The wild ideas aren't random fantasy. They're serious possibilities built from real physics, but the evidence doesn't let us cash them out as certain facts. Now let's add one more layer, cosmic inflation. Cosmic inflation is the idea that, in the very early universe, space expanded insanely fast for a tiny fraction of a second. This helps explain why the universe looks so smooth and similar in all directions. Some versions of inflation suggest it may never completely stop. In some regions, inflation ends and forms bubble universes like ours. In other regions, inflation keeps going, creating more bubbles. This is called eternal inflation. If it's true, our universe might be one bubble in a much larger multiverse. Different bubbles could have different conditions, maybe different amounts of matter, maybe even different physical constants. Could there be another you in another bubble? Maybe. If there are infinitely many bubbles and some have the same laws and conditions as ours, then duplicates become possible again. But this is even harder to test than distant space copies. A bubble universe outside ours might be forever beyond observation. So we now have 3 different roads to versions of you: infinite space, quantum branching, and inflationary bubbles. They sound similar, but they're not the same. A faraway space copy would be somewhere else in the same giant cosmic space. A quantum branch copy would share your past up to some branching event, then diverge. A bubble universe copy might exist in a separate cosmic region with its own history. The word copy hides very different ideas. And now we hit the part that gets personal. What would count as you? Suppose, impossibly, there were a perfect physical duplicate of you on another Earth. Same body, same brain, same memories, same feeling of being the one sitting here right now. From the outside, they're you. From the inside, they're not looking through your eyes. They're looking through theirs. This matters because identity isn't just a pattern, it's also a point of view. If someone printed a perfect copy of your favorite book, both books contain the same story. Damage one, and the other remains. But with a person, the story is conscious. Each copy wakes up as its own center of experience. So a duplicate of you would believe they're the original, and they would have just as much reason as you do. That's unsettling because it shows how fragile our idea of being the one true version is. If the copy has your memories, they remember your childhood, they remember your embarrassments, they remember choosing to watch this video. But after the moment of duplication, your lives split. You learn different things, you feel different emotions, you become different people. So, are there infinite versions of you? Maybe there are infinite beings who match your current pattern, but none of them are you in the simple everyday sense. They're separate experiencers. Another you doesn't mean your mind secretly stretches across space. It means the universe might repeat the recipe. That distinction matters because it's easy to slide from science into wishful thinking. People hear multiverse and imagine all dreams happen somewhere, every path not taken, every regret fixed, every impossible life made real. But physics doesn't guarantee a personally satisfying multiverse. It doesn't promise a universe where you made the perfect choice, or where every movie ending comes true. Some possibilities may be physically impossible. Some may require conditions our universe never allows. Infinity doesn't mean anything you can say exists. It means everything allowed by the rules may happen if the setup is truly infinite. That's a huge difference. For example, in an infinite universe with the same physics, there might be another Earth where you wore a blue shirt instead of a red one, but there won't be a square circle or a version of you who exists without any atoms, or a normal human who casually jumps to the moon. Infinity fills the possibility space. It doesn't break the rules. Now here's the next weird twist. Even if infinite copies exist, probability gets messy. If there are infinitely many versions of you, how do you ask what is likely? Imagine an endless hotel with infinitely many rooms. Half the rooms have blue doors, half have red doors. Easy enough. But then someone rearranges the labels or groups rooms differently, and suddenly the fraction can look different. In infinities, normal counting can misbehave. Cosmologists call this a measure problem. A measure is basically a way to count or compare possibilities. In multiverse ideas, choosing the wrong measure can make nonsense predictions. This is one reason scientists are cautious. It's not enough to say infinity exists, so copies exist, so anything goes. You need a way to make testable predictions. Science needs more than a cool possibility. It needs a handle. Can we ever test any of this? Some parts, maybe indirectly. We can measure the shape of the observable universe more accurately. If space turns out to curve back on itself, that could argue against simple, infinite space. We can study cosmic microwave background radiation, the leftover glow from the early universe, looking for clues about inflation. We can keep testing quantum mechanics, though interpretations like many worlds may remain hard to separate experimentally. But no telescope is about to spot your cosmic twin waving from another galaxy. The distances are too large. The branches, if they exist, don't talk. The bubble universes, if they exist, may be outside any signal we can receive. So the most accurate answer lives in a strange middle place. Are infinite versions of you proven? No. Are they allowed by serious scientific ideas? Yes. Would they be reachable, useful, or meaningfully connected to your life? Almost certainly no. But the idea still matters because it reveals something mind-bending about reality. Your existence may not be as one-of-a-kind in the cosmic accounting as it feels from the inside. And yet, from the inside, it is one-of-a-kind. That's the emotional paradox. On the cosmic scale, you might be repeatable, a pattern among patterns, a possible arrangement of matter that could recur if the universe has enough space or enough branches. But your actual experience is local. This stream of awareness, this moment, this decision to keep listening. That's not something you can outsource to another copy. A duplicate doesn't live your life for you. A branch doesn't make your choice meaningless. A faraway twin doesn't erase the fact that this version of you is the one who has to answer the next message, apologize when needed, eat lunch, make plans, and deal with whatever happens tomorrow. In a weird way, the multiverse idea can make ordinary life feel sharper, because even if reality contains endless variations, you never get all of them. You get this one. This is where the sci-fi fantasy flips. People often think infinite versions of you would make you less important. Just one copy in an endless cosmic crowd. But another way to see it is this. If the universe is large enough to repeat you, then a human life is a pattern the cosmos is capable of making. Consciousness, memory, fear, jokes, curiosity, all of that is not outside nature. It's nature arranged in a way that can look back and ask what else is out there. That's not small. That's bizarrely grand. So let's land the plane. There may be infinite versions of you if space is infinite and matter has limited arrangements. There may be branching versions of you if many worlds quantum mechanics is the right interpretation. There may be other versions in a larger inflationary multiverse if that picture turns out to be real. But every one of those maybes comes with an asterisk. We don't know if space is infinite, we don't know if many worlds is the true story, we don't know if other bubble universes exist, and we definitely don't know that every imagined version of your life is real somewhere. The honest answer is not yes or no. It's this. Physics has opened doors where infinite versions of you are possible, maybe even expected under certain assumptions, but not confirmed. And if they do exist, they're not backup lives. They're not secret extensions of your soul. They're separate realities, separate observers, separate stories. Which makes the question even stranger. Maybe the real mystery isn't whether there are infinite versions of you. Maybe it's why this version, right here, gets to ask the question at all. If this made your brain feel slightly folded, that's the correct response. For more weird questions where science gets uncomfortably close to philosophy, stick around.